There are so many great point guards in the NBA, and in today's video we're going to talk about a few of them. To be more specific, 10 of them, as I rank my top 10 point guards in the league today. And because this video is going to be fairly long to cut down on time, let me just start off with number 10. Coming in at the 10th position, we have Swiper the Fox himself, yes, Darren Fox. This year he's had another breakout season as he has a career high in points per game, averaging 23 in that category, along with 7 assists and 3 rebounds and a steal, shooting 48% from the field, 36% from 3 on a career high 5 attempts per contest. And at the time of this recording, the Kings are currently 8th in the Western Conference with a winning record and have won 7 out of their last 8 games. And during that stretch, Darren Fox has played the best basketball of his entire career, averaging 27 points on 48-37 shooting splits. Fox offensively has definitely elevated his game to new heights this year as one of the better scorers at his position. From behind the arc, I think that's been the best improvement of his offensive game, as we all know that was a weakness when he came into the league, and now he's shooting around league average on a good amount of attempts, so you got to give him credit while it's due. And he has the Kings winning games. The Kings are actually a winning team as we speak. That could obviously change towards the end of the year, but it looks like a play-in is definitely a possibility for this organization, and a lot of that is due to the improvement of Darren Fox. But moving on to number 9 on the list, we have Trae Young. Ice Trae himself has had a really shaky start to the season, but he's kind of caught it together over the last couple of weeks, and currently the Hawks are a playoff team in the Eastern Conference, and considering the pieces that he has around him, that should be expected for a player of Trae's caliber. And I know a lot of people see me as this Trae Young hater, but trust me, it's not hate, I only speak the truth. Though defensively we all know how bad he is and he turns it over a little bit too much for my liking, offensively he's remained and continued his play as one of the better players on that side of the ball. This year he's averaging 27 points along with 9 assists and 4 rebounds, shooting 42% from the field and 37% from behind the arc on over 6 attempts per contest and 89% at the free throw line. He's a great playmaker, especially in the pick and roll, and due to the gravity he has along with the attention the defense shows him, he's able to create plays for others on the court. That's why Clint Capella and DeAndre Hunter are having some of their best offensive years to date. In the case of DeAndre Hunter, has elevated himself in his sophomore season. So I have to give it to Trae. Offensively, he's continued his exploits, and with the way that they've played, combined with the fact that the Eastern Conference is just trash, they should be able to make the playoffs, especially if Trae Young is the player that we all know he's capable of being. But moving on to number 8 at the point guard list, I know I'm going to piss off a lot of people, but I gotta go with Russell Westbrook. And before all of his fans start hitting the dislike button fast as hell and commenting "I hate you, young mustard" in the comment section, just slow down and look at what Russell Westbrook has done this year and tell me what is the justification of me putting him higher than any other point guard that I'm going to mention later on in this video would be. Because there is no justification. Sure, he is averaging 19, 9, and 9, but he's doing it on shooting splits that are not impressive whatsoever, especially him shooting 66% at the free throw line. He's also averaging 5 turnovers per contest, which is unacceptable no matter what the circumstances are, especially when you have players you can share ball handling responsibilities with. And then combine that with the fact that he consistently gets hurt every other game, and they're even at the point that they have to rest him from time to time just simply due to his age and the wear and tear on his body. You have to also throw those things into consideration. Another thing you have to throw into consideration is that they're one of the worst teams in the NBA, and in some games even getting blown off the court. It is abysmal and an atrocity how bad the Washington Wizards currently are, and Russell Westbrook contributes to how bad they are due to a lot of his inefficiencies in his game. He isn't the whole problem, trust me. Russ is not the #1 reason that the Wizards are so bad. Their defense was an atrocity even before he joined that team. But with the way things are looking right now and the way he's playing, mainly due to a lot of these injuries, simply due to him just getting old, I can't put him above other point guards on this list who are not only winning more than him, but are just producing at a higher level than Russell Westbrook is currently producing at. But moving on to player number 7, we have Ben Simmons. Now, a lot of Sixers fans may be happy with this ranking and some may be mad at this ranking. It really just depends on how you view Ben Simmons as a player, as he is a very polarizing one. But the main reason why I have Ben Simmons over Trae Young, Russell Westbrook, and Darren Fox, a couple of players that could probably give you more than Ben Simmons on the offensive side of the ball, just simply due to their willingness to shoot from behind the arc, is because Ben Simmons affects the game in ways that they simply can't, primarily on the defensive side of the ball. Simmons has elevated himself to arguably being the best defender in basketball when he's on the court. And when you combine that with the fact that he's a great passer and great finisher, and the Sixers are one of the best teams in basketball, currently holding the best record in the Eastern Conference, I have to give him credit where it's due. Simmons has contributed towards a team that could potentially make the NBA Finals this year if all things go according to plan. Now, his jump shot needs some work. He definitely needs to be attempting more than he's currently attempting, and it is a huge liability for any offense to have a point guard that has the issue that Ben Simmons has when it comes to his shooting. But considering his overall impact for that Philadelphia 76ers team, especially, or should I say primarily on the defensive side of the ball, and his ability as a passer to that offense in transition, let's not forget he's one of the greatest players in the league today. I think number 7 is a really respectable ranking for a player of his caliber. But moving to number 6, we have the Pitbull Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry has been one of the league's most consistent point guards over the last decade. He has been a consistent all-star and the centerpiece of one of the league's best organizations, the Toronto Raptors. And to all the Raptors fans, this is just a side note. I feel your pain when it comes to Kyle Lowry disrespect, because I, like many, used to disrespect Lowry all the time. I would blame him for them losing in the playoffs time after time, instead of looking at DeMar DeRozan because he was a bigger culprit. I think that Lowry has not gotten his fair share of credit for what he's done to make the Toronto Raptors as successful as they've been over the last decade. And this season you can add to one of Lowry's better years, as at the age of 34 years old, Lowry is averaging nearly 18 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds, while shooting 42% from the field, 37% from behind the arc on nearly 8 attempts per contest, along with 87% at the free throw line. And sure, the Raptors are not what they used to be. They are 9th in the Eastern Conference, so there is time for them to get back into the playoffs. And if we're being honest, they would have an even worse record had Lowry not produced at the level that he is producing at, having one of the better offensive years throughout his entire career. Even as it pertains to the defensive side of the ball, he is one of the better defenders on this list, so I have to give him credit for what he does on that end as well. The bigger issue for the Raptors has to be who's their number 1 option in those late game situations, as Siakam, yeah, you guys know my feelings on Siakam. We'll talk about that maybe when we get to the power forwards list. But let's move on to the top 5. Starting off with number 5, we have the one and only CP3. CP3 and Lowry were one of the harder parts of this list, I have to admit. Both of them are putting up really good numbers at their old age, and they have a huge impact on their rosters. But the reason I gave the edge to CP3 over Lowry is simply due to the fact that the Suns last year were not a playoff team. But this year, with CP3 at the helm instead of Ricky Rubio running the point guard position, you can see the huge improvement on that roster and his impact all across the board. He got off to a bit of a slow start, but over the last couple of weeks, CP3 has looked like the OKC CP3 that we came to love, as he averaged 22 points and 7 assists, along with grabbing 5 rebounds per contest, shooting 52% from the field, 35% from behind the arc, and nearly 97% at the free throw line. And during that stretch of games, they have some pretty credible wins, as they beat the Dallas Mavericks in back-to-back games, as well as beating the Boston Celtics yesterday at the time of this recording. So CP3, keep it up. His impact second to none among players in the NBA, especially among players on this list, which is why I have him so high, even though statistically he may not touch even some players below him on this list. But moving on to number 4, we have Kyrie Irving. So yeah, we have finally reached that point of the list of the elite players at this position, and we're gonna start it off with Uncle Drew himself, as he's had one of his better seasons to date, averaging nearly 28 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, shooting a ridiculous 53% from the field, 43% from behind the arc, while also attempting nearly 7 a game and 94% at the free throw line. Kyrie has been sensational this year. Every time he steps on the court, you are guaranteed to watch another highlight. As in the words of Stephen A. Smith, he puts on a show. Plain and simple. And this year, he's continued to be what we all know he's capable of being, one of the better scorers and players in the league today. He's having his best season yet, and the only reason he's not in the MVP conversation is because he's playing with James Harden and Kevin Durant. That's really it, because if you look at his numbers and considering what the Brooklyn Nets are in the Eastern Conference, there really is no reason why he can't be in the MVP conversation other than the fact that his teammates are who they are. But moving on to player number 3, we have Damian Lillard, Dame Dollar himself. Just like Kyrie, continuing to prove why he's one of the better players in our league today, as despite injuries to numerous players such as Rocco, CJ McCollum, and Nurkic, he has continued to put his team on his back and carry them towards the finish line, as they currently are 6th in the Western Conference with a record above 500, with another stellar box score average of 29, 7, and 5 on 46, 38, and 94 shooting splits. Damian Lillard, just like all these other elite point guards, continuing to show why we give him the reverence that he is owed. And sure, come playoff time, there are a lot of criticisms of a guy like Damian Lillard. I know a lot of people actually hate him and don't care about what he's doing right now, as sometimes some people do overrate him at times, but he is having a phenomenal year, and I actually voted him as an all-star starter because what he's done this year has been incredible. And if it had not been for the fact that the Blazers are the 6th seed, Dame, just like many others, would be in the MVP conversation. But moving on to player number 2, we have Luka Doncic. Now, the Mavericks have struggled heavily this year, and I mean heavily. Luka got off to a really bad shooting slump in the beginning of the year, as there was a point in time this season he was shooting 8% at the 3-point line. He was abysmal in regards to his shooting at the beginning of the season, but so far since then he's got it together. Over the last 15 games, he's shooting 36% from behind the arc on 7 attempts per contest, and we all know how great his box score numbers are, averaging nearly 28, 10, and 9 on 46% shooting from the field. Luka has been incredible as far as his statistical dominance goes, but I know a lot of people are going to criticize his ranking on this list just due to the fact that the Mavericks are not winning enough games. Currently, they're 14th in the Western Conference. They're 10 and 14, and honestly, I cannot defend that. That is unacceptable. That's inexcusable, and for a player of Luka's caliber, I expect him to change that, and that's why I still have him as high. His talent is still undeniable, and you have to understand that a lot of the issues with the Mavericks are not really Luka's problems to fix. They got rid of Steph Curry and brought in Josh Richardson for defensive purposes, but we all know offensively he's not really the most consistent player in the world. And they lost Stephen Silas, who was their offensive coach, and going from being statistically the greatest offense of all time last year to being a middle of the pack, bottom half offense this year has been a huge blow towards their win and loss column, as well as Porzingis. He has to get it together, but this is not a Mavericks video. As it pertains to Luka, he's had an incredible season this year. Individually, his level of play is still on par with some of the most elite guards and players, forget just guards, players that we have in the game today. And that, combined with my faith that the Mavericks will get it together eventually and maybe even make a move, is the reason why I have him at number 2 on this list. But is there any doubt who's going to be number 1? Yes, you know who it is. Steph Curry, obviously the best point guard in the league today, proving yet again all the haters wrong. These people who said he can't quote unquote carry a team, as if that's supposed to prove something about Steph Curry that we don't already know. The guy's averaging 29 points a game, along with 6 assists and 6 rebounds, and doing it on some of the best shooting splits of his career. 48% from the field, 43% from behind the arc, and 94% at the free throw line. Steph Curry showing us why he is undoubtedly the best point guard in the league today, and arguably a top 5 player. This man is so disrespected that people just wanted to write him off after the first 2 games of the season. That's how much people were salivating to hate on Steph Curry. But now that he's playing and living up, actually even superseding the expectations that a lot of these people gave for him, these same people are quiet. I hear none of these haters saying anything, and I like it that way. But man, that concludes this video. This was longer than I expected it to be. I knew it was going to be long. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like down below, as it helps me out with the algorithm. Also, do not forget to hit that subscribe button and push the bell for post notifications, and comment your opinions. I would love to know what you guys thought about this video. If you think I left any point guards out, let me know down below. Or if you think I messed up the rankings, let me know that as well. Do not forget to follow me on social media. The links are in the description box down below. This is your boy Mustard signing out. Peace.